What up guys and gals, Dean here. In this video I'm going to talk about what will be by far the most enjoyable walk for the outdoorsy members of the Friendly Faces group, which will take us on a 7-mile circular walk around Kineton, Little Kineton and Butler's Marston. This amazing walk will take place on Sunday, July the 30th, so sit back and let me tell you why of all the walks we've done, you simply cannot afford to miss this one. So I'll talk about the route and also warn you of a few hazards that you'll encounter and need to be equipped for. So to avoid your embarrassment, make sure you watch this video through. So let's get stuck in. So as you know, each time a walk is first given a date and goes onto the Friendly Faces events page, I like to test at least part of the route, if not all of it, a week or two before the big day, so that I know the route, I know all the challenges we might face, and I can be sure that it will go smoothly and everyone will enjoy it. So this walk is no exception, and I'd like to thank my team of testers for this walk, Ed, Ira, Madalena, Sarah and Lisa. And we met up on Sunday last week and had a great afternoon, and I'm pleased to say we went round the whole route. So one of the things that will make this walk a special one is that we actually have an ace up our sleeve this time, because Lisa, who was the one who suggested that we do a walk in Kineton in the first place, has been a resident there for a few years, taking in big sections of it regularly, and now knows the area very well. So to help us with this event, she has firstly kindly pieced together a nice big 7-mile circular route for us to take, and secondly, she has generously agreed to walk out of the front of the pack on July the 30th to help guide us around it. And I can tell you that having walked around it with her as part of our tester crew on Sunday, that it is utterly amazing. It has everything you could wish for in a countryside walk. Its public pathways go through dense woodland areas, past historical landmarks, round huge fields of crops, past beautiful country houses and cottages, past streams, rivers and ponds. It takes in stunning views of the landscape from up high, and of course takes us through the delightful village that is Kineton, ending in the very spacious pub garden of one of its pubs. So I've lived just under 5 miles away from Kineton all this time, having heard its name mentioned many times, never having visited, not realising what a breathtaking countryside lies around it. So we can be very grateful to Lisa for giving us this one-off opportunity of a guided tour around it by an expert. So something that she pointed out was that no one seems to know it's there. And what I found quite amazing as we went round was that many of the areas and wildlife spots that we encountered were just so peaceful and undiscovered and far away from any civilization. So I just felt all the way around like we were a group of explorers discovering new land for the first time. So there are well-trodden public pathways all around the route, but unlike any of the Friendly Faces walks we've done up to now, despite it being such a beautiful place, there's just nobody around. So in some of the remote parts along the route, there are a few residential cottages and farms, barns, the occasional industrial building, so it's not as if nobody's ever been there, but the route is 7 miles long and we took about 3 hours to walk it, and I think I saw a total of about 3 people throughout all of that, and 2 of those were just farmers going about their day. Take my word for it, it is a very enjoyable walk with lots of wildlife and stunning scenery to soak up. So there we are, that's what we can expect from the route. So I'll now talk a little bit about the hazards and important points to be aware of specifically for this walk, some of which were pointed out by my very observant team of testers as we went round last week. So firstly, who should and shouldn't come on this walk? A polite reminder that the age range of our group is 18 to 60, which means no children on this walk. And I would say to anyone doubting their fitness or nursing any lingering or recurring aches or injuries that might slow you down from the pack, with all respect, it's perhaps best to skip this event. I also need to point out that we're very much in the countryside on this route, and we do encounter a number of farm animals, including cows and sheep, some of which are just roaming freely in the fields that we go through. So we'll have to say, dogs, even if you're on a lead, and no matter how well behaved you are, no dogs allowed to this event. Also, when we walked past the animals last week, they weren't at all bothered by our presence, and while they turned their heads to look at us when we walked past, they didn't move an inch. However, it's worth pointing out that if you have a fear of cows or farm animals, then be aware that your fears might well be realised if you come on this walk. So with that out of the way, clothing. So this is very important this time for a number of reasons. So 1 or 2 of the pathways that we walk along are quite thin, so we'll have to walk single file at times. Some of the pathways, certainly in the wooded areas, have overhanging branches that can catch you as you walk past. Some have nettles along the sides which can sting you if you're wearing shorts. And there's also some areas with very tall weeds and long grass that we have to drag our feet through. There's also 2 sections of the walk that go along the edge of crop fields, And as we found, the earth along those paths can stick to your feet. All of us on the test walk found our shoes completely caked with mud and quite heavy going when we got out the other side of those 2 fields. Obviously we just needed to do a bit of heel scraping and we were all good to carry on as normal. So with all those things in mind, you will need, number 1, trousers. So while that might sound obvious, there were a few of the testers wearing shorts last week that did get stung on the legs by nettles a few times. Obviously it's not that huge a deal, but I would recommend trousers to protect yourselves from that if you want to. I was wearing jeans, which of course are fine, and I didn't get stung. But it's obviously personal preference. If you want to wear shorts, do, but just be warned. Number 2, a brightly coloured top. So obviously don't bring your £200 designer Versace jumper, because some of those low-hanging branches might well catch on it and pull it. But during the test walk, when we went through those wonderful dense wooded areas and the thin winding pathway sections, it was noticed that some of us were wearing greys and dark colours and almost disappeared from view against the background. So the testers made a great suggestion that when we go back on July the 30th, we should all wear a brightly coloured top, like a bright yellow or orange or red, something like that would catch the eye, just so that we'll all be easy to spot in those dense areas. Number 3, a waterproof jacket. So as we'll be outdoors for the best part of 3 hours, this one goes without saying. If it rains and you don't have one, surprisingly, you're going to get wet. So I have warned people to bring a waterproof jacket to our walks in the past, and some didn't, and they got wet. But as you prefer, I will, however, take this opportunity to say that if it does rain, either before or during the walk will not be called off, and we won't be cutting the route short as a result. As a walker, you'll know that a bit of rain is all part of the walking or hiking experience, and if you've got your waterproof with you, you'll be just fine. Also, of course, the walk can generate a bit of huffing and puffing, and you might get quite warm as we go, so you might not want to be wearing that jacket for the whole walk. So I always take my thin waterproof jacket, which I just roll up and put in my rucksack when I don't need it. Number 4, good shoes. And you know I've talked about this before. A few of us on the test walk this time were wearing proper walking boots, which I would recommend you bring if you have them, or go and buy some if you don't. And a few of us on the test walk were wearing trainers, which did get tested, but came out the other side okay. Obviously, if you bring your brand new shiny white Nikes, they will cope, but rest assured they won't be white at the end. So there were also 1 or 2 muddy areas that we did our best to go round and avoid the worst of, but I think that also emphasises the suggestion that you get some purpose-made walking footwear. And if you're going to be a regular Friendly Faces walker, it'll be a great investment. So there's still enough shopping time to go and buy some if you want to. In both Stratford and Leamington, we've got branches of Mountain Warehouse, Millets, Trespass, who all sell walking and trekking equipment, including some excellent walking shoes. So you could also try Sports Direct or TK Maxx, who sell lots of nice sturdy footwear in their shoe sections. So there's plenty of options to try there, and you can probably also find one of those thin waterproof jackets I was talking about, which will be another great investment. So number 5, as you know, I always recommend a hat, sunglasses and sun cream in case it gets hot, a half-litre bottle of water, which is essential, a sandwich to snack on, and of course your emergency banana. And then don't forget a nice hands-free rucksack to put it all in. So that is your hazards and equipment to bring checklist. So to the meeting point. We will congregate at the end of Warwick Road, right where it meets Southam Street and Banbury Street, which is bang in the middle of Kineton. So the White Swan pub is on that corner, so the best thing to do is just point your sat-navs to the White Swan in Kineton. As you can see, there are people offering lifts on the event comments already, so maybe get involved with that, or offer a lift yourself if you can. So there's plenty of parking on the surrounding streets. Quite amazing how much street parking there is actually. Obviously keep your eye out for any parking restriction signs just in case. And then when we're all parked up, we'll meet across the road from the White Swan. There's like a little gap walkway through the wall, which goes through into the churchyard away from the road, which has a bench, and we'll all gather there and set off at 1 PM sharp. 1 PM sharp, do not be late. So maybe aim to get yourself into Kineton for 12:45 so that you've got some time to find a good parking spot, gather all your bits out of the car to bring with you, and be at that meet point in advance of 1 PM. It's really not nice to keep everyone who was on time waiting because you didn't plan your day properly. Perhaps worth also using the loo before you leave the house, but anyone needing to answer the call of nature right before we set off can perhaps sneak into the White Swan quickly, because that will probably be your last chance for a couple of hours. So make sure you arrive and give yourself time to do those things so that we can all set off at 1 PM. So that's when and where we'll set off from, and coincidentally the finish point of this circular route will be the White Swan pub, which, as you can see on the map, has a nice spacious garden out the back where we can have a sit down, rest our weary legs and sip on a well-earned drink, which is exactly what we did last week at the end of the test walk. So we've had some fantastic days out walking with this group over the last few months, and those of you who have come along to those will agree that the group consists of really nice people to share the walks with. And each time that's included meet-up veterans and first-timers, and I've noticed the chatter and conversation is always in abundance, and people getting to know each other and lots of friendships forming, which is why we do this, of course. So you now know all I know about the upcoming Kineton walk, but you haven't had the pleasure of seeing all that stunning countryside scenery like I have, and although I've already done it, I can't wait to do it again. And I'm incredibly jealous of our route guide Lisa, who can just walk around it whenever she likes. So I can confidently say that there is nothing better that you will find to do on the afternoon of Sunday, July the 30th. At the time of recording this video, we've got 20 people signed up already, and that's even before I've sent the notifications out about it. So hit the attend button now, get it in your diary, and every one of us will be looking forward to seeing you on the day. Until then, this is Dean out.